Strength and power is definitely going to be considered good genes because, I mean, like it's important to overpower your opponent in many different areas. Strength is definitely useful in wrestling, most definitely. Very useful in jiu-jitsu, not like fully, but definitely very useful. Yeah, kickboxing, Muay Thai, yes. Strength would be least important in something like boxing because you're not making too much contact with your opponent in a grappling sense. It's only more in a striking sense. Strength is important, but like not like insanely important. Like you can beat a stronger opponent. You know, in wrestling and jiu-jitsu. In wrestling and jiu-jitsu, strength is going to be much more of a problem, but in a striking sport, you can definitely beat a stronger opponent. Like I've sparred like bodybuilders before who were definitely very clearly like physically stronger than me, but obviously it just came down more to skill, and I was able to like stay on the outside jab, piece them up like from a distance, which led to me like which led to me dominating the spar. Which just proves that strength is important, but it's not all that. So I put the picture for high testosterone as Mike Tyson when he was younger, because Mike Tyson was literally just the epitome of high testosterone. Like, bro, look at a picture of like Mike Tyson as a kid, and then look at him after he hit puberty. Like that's what like testosterone does to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes you a bit uglier, but it also like it gives you all of these insane advantages. And overall, when I say high testosterone, obviously people are gonna be like, oh, but testosterone depends on your lifestyle, your diet and stuff like that, which I agree with. But I'm talking like, let's be honest, some people, or if we're talking about males, some males just naturally have higher testosterone than other males because of their genetics. That's just that's just a straight fact. Having higher testosterone is like a clear advantage because it increases your aggression, your will to win, your will to fight, and overall just your energy in general. You know, that's why taking testosterone and taking steroids is illegal, because of how much of an advantage that it gives you. Again, I'm talking from a genetic standpoint. Of course, you can eat foods, you could take certain supplements, and you could try different, methods to increase your testosterone. Of course, like a guy that trains every day, regardless of his genetics, is going to be his test is going to be much higher than a guy that doesn't. But I'm just like letting you guys know, testosterone, or at least your baseline testosterone, is genetic, and you get that from your dad. You know what I'm saying? And you can figure that out depending on your personality traits, how easy it is for you to keep on muscle. Like, have you always been in good shape from young, especially like during puberty? How hard did puberty hit you? These are things that like you can figure out if you have a naturally higher baseline testosterone. So yeah, it's an insane advantage in fighting, in boxing, whatever, wrestling, whatever. Having a naturally higher testosterone is definitely a very good advantage to have. It just gives you like everything you need to fight. Having a very long wingspan is very very good, bro. That shit is OP. It is OP. From what I've seen, bro, having a longer wingspan gives you a clear advantage in striking, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, and in grappling sports as well, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, because you can be the first guy to put your hands on your opponent, and you can keep him away, you can push him away, you can choose when to engage. And just overall, like, it's even like it comes into other sports as well. We're talking about fighting and martial arts, but even in stuff like basketball, I know basketball's really big on having like a long wingspan. It's just such an insane advantage to have, to the point where it's overpowered. If you have long arms, bro, that is a very good trait to have. You're blessed in so many ways. 9 times out of 10 from having long arms, you basically just control the fight, and you control when you want to engage. You know what I'm saying? If you're boxing, you jab him first 9 times out of 10. Unless he's a very good inside fighter, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get the first hits. You are gonna be the first one to make contact on the first engagement. Along with wrestling and jiu-jitsu, you're the first one to grab the back of his neck. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, having a long wingspan, like, without a doubt, is going straight to the top. It is an overpowered advantage, an overpowered genetic advantage to have as a fighter. Mesomorphic genetics is going to get put in good genes, but not like the higher ones. So what a mesomorph is someone that naturally has wide shoulders, like small waist, and naturally puts on muscle easily and keeps off fat, which is an advantage. If you're fighting at 70 kilos, for example, you want as much of that 70 kilos to just be lean mass. And then yeah, like you just want to be as like lean as possible, and you want as much of that lean mass to be muscle. So that's the advantage. But at the same time, like, my nigga, fighting is not like a bodybuilder show. It's not about looking good, it is about performing. And your build doesn't necessarily indicate how much of a good fighter you are. Having mesomorphic genetics is good. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, mesomorphs are more likely to have fast twitch muscles. This isn't always the case. It is pretty reoccurring. So I'm gonna give it like good genes, but not the absolute best, because then again, like, you know what I'm saying, just because you have wide shoulders doesn't instantly mean you're gonna be an insane fighter. There's plenty of fighters that are built differently, that are built kind of goofy, and they're great fighters. So that's why having mesomorphic genetics is gonna be put in good genes, but not the higher tiers. Having big hands is an insane advantage. This picture here is a picture of Sonny Liston, right? So Sonny Liston was the heavyweight champion in the early 1960s before Muhammad Ali beat him. And if you look at this picture like closely, like zoom in or some shit, you can just see like how big this guy's hands is. So that's like say that guy's like the average man. You can see that his hand's like twice the size, almost triple the size of his hand. Like his hands are massive, and the size of his hands played a massive role in his power. So if you look at like a highlight reel of his, he was knocking out guys like brutally, and not in a way where it was like, oh, it's like a knockout, oh, he hits hard. No, like he was like breaking people's faces, like he was smashing, bones on people's skulls with the sheer mass of his hands. Having large hands is a very clear advantage when it comes to punching power, because say you do hit hard, if you have like, it's like having like a hammer, right? If the end of your hammer is like small and you hit really hard with it, it's gonna hurt, but it's like small. It's like the end bit doesn't weigh as much. The surface area of what you hit isn't like as big compared to like if you had a hammer with like a large end with it, like a large big piece of metal at the end, whatever you call it, and you smash like a person or you hit a wall. I feel like it's obviously going to do much more damage because the end is heavier and larger, and it's got a bigger surface area. There's some physics behind it, but I can't explain. I'm not a fucking physics teacher, but yeah, like having big hands is an insane advantage in fighting in general. Applying it to grappling, like it's easier to grab the person. You can grab the guy's neck better, like you know what I'm saying. You can maybe cut the person's biceps better. You can get better grips, pause, and overall, having large hands is just a general benefit in fighting as a whole. And yeah, man, when I was looking through pictures, like it's actually insane how big this guy's hands are. Like, right now, there's like a picture of him with his wife, and like considering that's like the 50s and 60s, imagine this nigga beat his wife. Like, bro, his wife. I'm praying he didn't put hands on his wife, bro. Like, because I swear to God, no, he did. He probably didn't, because if he did, he would have murdered her. And there's no reports of him killing his wife. There is actually he died in a really messed up way, by the way. The mafia killed him, or like some weird conspiracy theory. So yeah, and he was a good man as well. So RIP, listen. But yeah, big hands, insane advantage. So right here, what we've got is height, and I'm not gonna lie. After careful consideration, I'm actually gonna put in not that important, and I'll tell you why. As you know, styles make fights, right? Or at least in a boxing term. I'm sure. I don't know about wrestling that much. And when you are fighting an opponent that is taller than you, you can adapt and you can figure out a plan and a strategy to overcome that. And seeing height as a genetic advantage in fighting, there are obviously like clear advantages, like he's taller, so like I'm 6'1", so 9 times out of 10 when I spar people, I'm usually a bit taller than them. And what I find is these guys have to like throw their punches up while I get to throw my punches down, and that's a really good advantage. But there are also disadvantages to being the short fighter. And remember, we're talking about mixed martial arts in general. So one is your center of gravity, you're further from the ground, your body is a lot more open. So in boxing, that means if you're the taller fighter, you're more susceptible to body shots, right? In wrestling, you have a higher center of gravity, which messes up your balance a bit more. And overall, if we're just looking at fighting as a whole, being the taller man is not necessarily that like beneficial, because again, your opponent can adapt and overcome that. Mike Tyson, Canelo Alvarez, I can't even think of that many, but like look, there's many short fighters that have figured out many ways to beat the taller fighters. What's his name? Joe Frazier, right? Smoked Muhammad Ali being the shorter man. He was like 5'11", Ali was like 6'3", smoked him by simply just fighting aggressively and taking the fight to him. And also, I think it was just ripping to the body and like really using the left hook. So yeah, man, being the taller man isn't like necessarily like an absolute like advantage. The reason why it would is because if you're taller, increases the likelihood of your wingspan, which then like puts you in the overpowered category, as you can see here. But then there's short guys that have long wingspans, like Conor McGregor. I've noticed like he's 5'9", but he has like really long arms, like, and that's why he's such a good striker. So yeah, that's why I'm actually going to be putting height in not that important. High endurance is getting also put in fucking overpowered, bro. If you have high endurance, you've won. You know what I'm saying? Having naturally high endurance is an insane advantage to have, because from what I've seen, a lot of like the main reason why a lot of fighters lose their fights is actually because of gas tank. And some of the greatest fighters that I've noticed, the reoccurring like theme amongst a lot of the greatest fighters is that their conditioning in terms of cardiovascular endurance was very good. And I mean like really good. So not for a fighter, like obviously you have to be fit to be a fighter of any sort, but I'm talking like in general, like on top of that, right? So there's the average person, this is how fit you have to be a fighter, and then there's being all the way up there, you know what I'm saying? And if you are genetically predisposed to have large lungs, to have really really good blood flow, like your hemoglobin can carry more little oxygen molecules to carry to your muscles, that is an insane advantage, like an insane, sorry, not insane, and it's overpowered, right? It's in the overpowered category. And what was I gonna say? Marab is a very good example of someone that literally just beats their opponents off of sheer will and sheer heart, and just having like a non-stop attack, and like their lungs just isn't gonna cease, their heart isn't gonna cease. It just makes you it makes you a much more terrifying opponent as well, because there's nothing more scarier than being tired and just seeing the other guy jumping around and like energy. Like, you're about to get fucked up if he still has energy and you don't. So yeah, there's also like a mental aspect to it. It's very, very terrifying to be with an opponent that you know isn't going to stop. And that's why like having naturally high endurance that you then condition to be extremely high once you become an athlete is overpowered. We have a picture of John Jones. So you're probably wondering, what does this represent? It's a mugshot. What do you think it represents? Sociopathic tendencies. So what does this mean? The ability to inflict pain upon another human without caring, and not necessarily being very remorseful, and honestly like possibly slightly enjoying the combat aspect of combats, like you know, combat sports. John Jones is like was just like the perfect like picture for this, by the way. Yeah, so if you have sociopathic tendencies, I feel like that is slightly like good genes, right? Because come on, I think about it, bro. Being a combat like fighter, being a fighter in general, the main aim, especially in striking sports, is to just like injure your opponent to the point where like they're incapacitated, whether that be through a knockout, like fully making them unconscious, or just like maybe breaking something, or like their leg, kicking the shit out of their legs, or you know, a body shot or something. It's about inflicting damage. In wrestling and jiu-jitsu, it's a bit less of that, right? If it was more that, then I would have put this higher, but it still could come in handy when it comes to senseless aggression and like coming at your opponent without caring for their health and their safety, because it overall makes you like a more dangerous fighter. But the big but is, just because like you're this edgy, oh I don't care about him type of guy, doesn't mean you're the better fighter. Like, you'll still get whooped by a guy that has the heart of a golden retriever, you know. There are plenty of guys that have there are plenty of great fighters that had amazing hearts, that were very, very good people. Ali, Tyson. To be honest, I actually take that back. Tyson clearly showed sociopathic like qualities about himself when he was fighting, like the way he was talking, where he was a bit crazy. But there were plenty of fighters that had good heart. Joe Frazier was a very nice person, but he was a demon in the ring. GGG, Canelo's pretty nice outside the ring. I'm not very good at naming like fighters off the top of my head, because I'm actually more interested in the sport rather than like knowing like fighters that well and knowing their personalities. Personally, I don't care. But if we're just gonna sum it up, having sociopathic tendencies is a slight advantage, but not the best, right? Just because you don't care about your opponent doesn't mean that you're gonna win, okay? Your opponent could be the nicest person ever and he could destroy you, simple as. But it can make you a more dangerous fighter, so we'll leave it in good genes. Now, this is an interesting one, the ACTN3 gene. So I did like a bit of research on this, right? But not enough, but enough to like dumb it down and give you fellow CTE enthusiasts what this gene exactly is. Pretty much just if you have this specific gene, it increases protein synthesis, which leads to you having more fast twitch muscle fibers. It's generally associated with having, you know, being able to sprint better, jump higher, and obviously that will instantly translate to stronger punching power, stronger explosiveness, which is just an all-around benefit in boxing and wrestling as well, and grappling as well. It is very important to be explosive in fighting sports, and if you were to have this specific gene, you are like at an insane advantage, you know what I'm saying? Because you're just more explosive than your opponent, which just puts you ahead of him, you know, in terms of athleticism and knockout potential, right? Because he has to worry about that while you don't, if he doesn't have it. Last but not least, let's check it out. We've got ethnicity. So as you can see, this picture here is like the it's like this picture called like the 5 races. I don't know who made it, but I found it very interesting and I wanted to include it. And it's basically it represents white people, black people, Asian people, Aboriginals, and Native Americans. And it's like the 5 main races that like everyone originates from, and more or less you'd either be one of them or a mixture of 2 of them, you know what I'm saying? And what I'm gonna say here is, shut your bitch ass up instantly, man. Shut your bitch ass up. Your race by no means indicates whether or not you're gonna be a good fighter at all. And there's many of like these fucking, basically these like supremacists that say, oh, if you're black, you're gonna be like really athletic, which means you're like gonna be the superior fighter. Probably white guys saying, oh, but we're stronger, so da-da-da-da-da. So all of you guys, I say, shut your bitch ass up, man. Your ethnicity does not indicate, and by the way, Asians never say, Asians are so cool, but shout out to you Asians. I've never like seen an Asian person like rant about their ethnicity being superior. It's always black people and white people. Both of you guys piss me off. Like, shut up, you're not superior, simple as. Yeah, shout out to Asians. What was I saying? Your ethnicity does not indicate how explosive you're gonna be, how strong you're gonna be. That is just simply like your individual genetics, okay? Yes, I understand there are, especially like West Africans, people of West African descent, that tend to be more explosive and athletic. But then I've met plenty of West African guys that are like fucking skinny fat, and they have no athleticism. And obviously, like I would say on the other side, South Asian people are like associated with being unathletic and not very explosive and whatnot. I've met plenty of South Asian brothers that have insane genetics, wide shoulders, fucking defined dense muscles, explosive as hell, explosive as hell, strong as hell. So you know what I'm saying? To that, I'm just gonna be like, look, your genetics is purely dependent on your mum and your dad. Yes, I 100% agree that ethnicity can indicate your you know what I'm saying, how you're gonna be built, this and that. For example, if you haven't noticed, man's East African, Somali. I have a lean build. I have a, what's it called? I'm pretty lean, and like that's something that's pretty like associated with like a lot of us. I'm very good at running. I'm very good at endurance. Fucking shout out to Mo Farah here. But even then, like I've met plenty of Somalis that are like fat and like big guys and are fucking built like Neanderthals. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, like, don't ever like look at your ethnicity and think, oh, I can't fight because I'm this race. Yeah, is any of you like supremacists that are gonna like try go against this, just shut your bitch ass up. Like, you're racist. Simple. Shut your bitch ass up. I will add though, like, I am disappointed in India. You guys have like what? I think over 1 billion people, like maybe approaching 2 billion, and you still haven't got like one like super successful like UFC fighter. Or, I mean, I'm sure there's a really good Indian boxer, but I haven't seen any really good Indian UFC fighters. That's not me like shitting on Indians. Like, bro, here's what you gotta do, right? There's 1 billion people in your country. This is what you gotta do. Go like fund some like scouts or some shit. Go around your country, go around like the gyms and whatever. I understand the culture is more about like academics rather than like, you know, sports, but I'm sure there's someone in your country that's very athletic, that has an insane potential, that can represent your country. Look for that person, find them, fucking like pay them like a bunch of money to nurture the, you know what I'm saying? If you see potential within this person, spend a bunch of money on them, nurture that potential, let them become great, and then fucking make them represent your country. And then maybe like you guys won't get laughed at so much. Like, Indians especially like get shit on when it comes to athletes, and I think it's because they don't put enough time into nurturing the athletes. You know, the Indian athletes are too busy focusing on studies, and that's why they don't end up becoming proper athletes, because their mom and dad is like, shut up, go be a doctor. You know, it would be nice to see some more it would be nice to see some more South Asian athletes that are fucking, you know what I'm saying, break the shitty stereotypes. But yeah, man, like, you guys need to pattern up, seriously, like, because the world's laughing at you. Pattern up, India. But other than that, I really hope that you enjoyed the tier list. Peace, man. Ain't nothing to say.